Raegan Revord, known to millions as Missy Cooper from Young Sheldon, has stepped into a new chapter, not only in their career, but in their identity. At 17, Revord publicly came out as non-binary, embracing they/them pronouns. This moment arrives as no sudden burst, but as the quiet culmination of many things: early roles, online mystery, heartfelt novels, and seeing shadows of oneself in others. It's a coming out not just of gender identity, but of possibility. Because when someone in the spotlight does this, they change the landscape of stories we see, of truths we share, of people who finally feel seen. The journey. For many, identity is something felt long before it is fully named. Revord changed their social media pronouns to they/them in January 2025. The Express Tribune, that shift was public but quiet. A pin, a bio change, a streamer alias, things not everyone might notice, but very meaningful for the person doing them. Pink News. Then came the moment of naming. In September, in interviews, Revord confirmed their non-binary identity, reflecting on what it means to be visible and to live as truth. They spoke of seeing people in the public eye come out as queer or non-binary during their childhood and how that was so cool, because it meant, simply, I see myself in you. Now, Revord says, it's so crazy to have that experience where I'm now that person, and there might be a kid somewhere who's like, oh my God, I see myself in you. In that turning of mirrors, identity becomes not just personal, but communal. Revord remembers being that little person looking at those who dared to live openly. Now those looking will see them. Why representation matters. There is power in representation, not just for the majority, but for those who are often outside the frame. Revord has spoken of how rare queer and non-binary stories were when they were younger, how difficult it was to find characters, celebrities, narratives who reflected what they felt inside. When a public figure comes out, it does more than shake up headlines. It rewrites what is normal, what is allowable, what is visible. It helps people understand themselves faster. It helps people accept themselves more gently. Revord is also an author. Their debut young adult novel, Rules for Fake Girlfriends, released in September 2025, is itself a queer love story. The choice to write queer romance is not incidental, it is emblematic. They are doing more than sharing their identity, they are weaving it into stories, helping create worlds where queer youth don't have to pretend, where love doesn't have to hide in shadows. The importance of timing. Revord is 17, teenage, creative, still growing, still exploring. Coming out at this age has special power. It means refusing to delay truth until later, refusing to hide until safe enough or successful enough. It also means that many fans of their work, particularly young people, hear this message now: you are not alone. You don't need to wait for someone else to give you permission or definition. The timing also intersects with Revord's literary debut, a release of both identity and creative voice. It's like opening two doors at once, one into new self-awareness, another into new stories. Complexities and courage. This kind of announcement does not erase all the complexities. Non-binary identity is deeply personal and sometimes misunderstood. Revord acknowledges both the joy and strain of being visible. They said in interviews that it's super important to use their platform for queer representation. But representation also comes with expectations, of role modeling, of clarity, of boundary setting. The courage is not only in coming out, but in owning the aftermath, criticisms, misgendering, ignorance, or praise. Additionally, there is the interplay between the public self and the private self. Revord once used a Twitch alias setting Sunset, streaming under that name, where they already use they/them pronouns, before revealing more of themselves publicly. That suggests a thoughtful unfolding, testing, creating space, claiming identity in smaller, safer settings, and then extending it outward. Wider impact. Every time someone like Revord comes out, it changes more than their own life. It changes culture. It shifts norms. It gives language to those who lacked it. It offers paths. For writers who want to include queerness, for producers thinking about casting, for young people reading books or watching characters on screen and wondering where they fit. Revord's example matters especially because they come from a mainstream network show, Young Sheldon, CBS, and from popular culture that reaches young and old. The character of Missy Cooper, a young girl twin of Sheldon, was a recognizable presence. Now, Revord reminds us that what we see on screen is not always the whole story, and that identity is more fluid, more expansive, more diverse than many stories reflect. They also offer a mirror for other non-binary youth, or queer youth more broadly. They say explicitly what many feel quietly. And sometimes that is exactly what matters most. Looking forward, there are many open questions. How will Revord continue to use their voice in art, activism, or storytelling? How will their work shift as they grow older? What roles will they choose or write in the future? Will Missy Cooper appear again in new ways, or be interpreted differently in viewers' minds? What seems certain is that this is not a final note, it's part of an evolving story. One in which identity, art, and visibility interweave. The book, the interviews, the pronoun changes, all pieces of a larger narrative, a story many will now be able to see themselves in. A personal reflection. I imagine a kid, maybe 12 or 13, watching young Sheldon, seeing Missy Cooper on screen, feeling out of step with gendered expectations but not quite having the words. Then, years later, in high school, discovering someone like Raegan Revord coming out. Maybe that kid realizes, oh, maybe I'm not alone in this confusion. Maybe they pick up rules for fake girlfriends, or follow Revord online, and feel something shift, change from loneliness into belonging. In the end, coming out isn't just about announcing something new, it's about permission. Permission to exist. Permission to breathe. And for many, it's also permission to dream. Raegan Revord's coming out as non-binary is important, not just as celebrity news, but as part of a larger cultural and human story. It's about identity, representation, courage, and change. At 17, they are not just stepping into their identity, they are opening doors for others. And that is a powerful thing indeed. If you like, I can write a version more personal, or more journalistic, or for a specific audience, e.g. queer youth, media watchers, fans. Do you want me to adapt this?